Hey, what's up? It's Clayton Olson and Jack Butler. And in this video, we're going to talk about 3 signs that you are in a toxic relationship. Now, there are a number of videos out there on the internet around toxic relationships, everything from gaslighting to abuse. These are really obvious signs, right? And if you're in any of those scenarios, it's probably best that you do leave. So what we're going to talk about in this video is we're going to talk about let's say the preamble that happens right before a toxic relationship really sets in place, or the very beginning signs of a toxic relationship, so that when you understand, say, the first domino that can lead to a disrepair in the relationship that can't be reconciled, you can start to take action now to get things back on track. So do you want to bring us into the first point?
Yeah, let's go for it. So the first point is that you are airing your grievances elsewhere. So you're talking to your friends, your coworkers, your girlfriends, your guy friends about the problems you have with your partner, but that you're not bringing those things into the relationship in a way that they can be digested and worked on in the relationship. You know, you might have heard this expression, don't air your dirty laundry in public. And this is a sort of like a private way of doing that, right? Where you're actually taking some of your dirty laundry and you're talking about it elsewhere, and you're not really willing to work on it and deal with it with your partner.
Yeah.
Now, there is a little bit of a distinction in here because you obviously need to get support outside of the relationship at times, right? There's something really healthy about getting reflection, or maybe you're hitting a particular problem that you've worked on with your partner and it's not kind of going somewhere, and you want to get the support of a coach like us, or a therapist, or just a good friend. But there's a way that you can do that actually honors your own participation and responsibility for what's going down in the relationship. I think that's the distinction.
Exactly. I love that. And so just to even further break this apart, if you think about it, are you building a committee? Are you building a committee that is against your partner outside of the relationship?
Yeah.
Do you have friends that are hearing all of the complaints, and what they're doing is they're supporting your stance as being right? Because if they're doing that, and that's all of the ammo that they're getting, when suddenly you are bringing more things to the table, they're going to be whispering in your ear that you need to break up with the person, because they're not in touch with the other things that are actually working in the relationship. And this is what can make it incredibly toxic when you go back to your partner.
Right. Totally. So it's almost like keeping a fair score of the relationship.
I love that.
With the people that you share about your relationship. And by the way, maybe including your partner in some of the things that you talk about. Like if you get some perspective that's useful in the relationship, that you actually bring it back in. So it's not that all the support you're getting is kind of completely separated from the actual relationship.
Totally.
All right, you want to cue us up number 2?
Number 2, there is an inability to repair, aka apologize, between the two of you. So John Gottman, relationship researcher, one of the, I would say, brings a logical, scientific approach to relationship in a way that I've never seen before. He talks about that one of the key indicators that a relationship will work out is whether the partners are open to being influenced by each other. Now, if we take this and we look at what happens when you fight, and whether or not people are apologizing and taking responsibility for their contribution in the conflict, if no one is willing to do that, you're actually going against that key principle, that key indicator of the relationship lasting, because neither of you are allowing yourselves to be influenced by the other. If I was to do something that perhaps insulted you, if I was to be mean, or maybe I was just ignorant and I said something that was insulting, but I'm unwilling to apologize for it, I'm unwilling to get your perspective and validate your emotional experience, and just say that, hey, that's your problem, it's not mine.
Right.
All this does is it creates a psychological and emotional gap, a chasm that begins to widen more and more, which builds a perfect bed for resentment, for bitterness, and for ultimately
lack of intimacy.
And for the two of you to feel like you're not on the same team.
Yeah. I like that you bring Gottman in, because most of you listening to this, I'm sure, have heard of the 5 love languages. Gottman helped draw my attention to the 5 apology languages. And so even if you never go and look at that work, you might just want to get curious about what are the ways in which, if someone were to repair with you, that you actually feel the repair has happened. And if someone's going to repair with your partner, how do they feel that a repair has happened? Because those things might be different. Right? For you might feel like someone's really apologized when they say sorry, or that for you it might be that you have to get you a gift, right? Or you might need to have a very specific emotional clearing where you say how you feel and you process it together. Those are all quite different vectors of what it might mean to make a repair.
Some people actually need to hear sorry several times.
Totally.
And so there needs to be a repetition behind that. And we all are different in that regard. So if there is an inability to take responsibility on either your part or your partner's, that's something to begin looking at and really having an honest conversation about, because it has the relationship going down a path that is not going to serve the length of it. So do you want to go into the third one?
Let's go to point number 3.
Cool.
So point number 3 is what we're calling covert hostility. So you would know that you were doing this if you're engaging in behaviors that are rooted in hostility or contempt, however big or small. And part of why this can be difficult to sometimes put your finger on is because there might be micro hostilities or micro contempts that you have against your partner.
What would a micro contempt look like?
Clayton, I thought you were going to ask me that.
Now, did you just notice that right there? That was a microaggression. The eye rolling, the exasperated body language. Yeah.
So a lot of this may be revealed actually not only in the words you use, because you know this, that there's a way of saying something to someone where you're with them and you're in relationship with them, and there's a way of saying something to someone where actually there's a subcommunication of, I wish you hadn't asked me that,
right?
Or please don't talk to me, or you're too much right now, or this is another request that I have to deal with, or you're wrong in some way. That's the subtle stuff. That's actually really an important predictor. That's the stuff that Gottman can have a couple come in for fewer than 15 minutes and make a really accurate prediction, 80% plus, about the longevity of their relationship.
It's so fascinating. And if you think about it, 93% of communication is voice tone and body language.
Right.
So it's only the content. And this is when we talk about this covert hostility, that hostility can hide in the body language and it can hide in the tonality. So are you guys being tasteful when you're talking to each other?
That's a good word.
Right? And it's so easy to say, I didn't say that, but it's like for instance, if we're in a fight and I stop making eye contact with you and I back turn and leave the room, that is an act of hostility. And that is also just creating more of a hotbed of a toxic relationship to occur. But it can be really hard to pin each other down on this stuff because it's not existing on the level of content. So being able to really sync up with your partner and see and look at the tonality, the tastefulness, the body language that's occurring around the communication, like Jack is saying, super important.
Yeah, absolutely. So if any of this has interested you, if it's piqued your interest and you're a woman, we want to invite you to come to a webinar that we're organizing. It's called The 3 Keys to Being Relationship Ready, How to Attract and Keep a High Quality Man. You'll see there's a link below this video. You can just click that link. You can find a time that works for you. And we really dimensionalize some of the misconceptions that women have about men and the way that they show up in relationship. We've got a whole secret that we unpack around that, and we've been getting rave reviews. So
we have, yeah.
If you haven't been on it, join us.
Yep. Thank you.